As Star Wars fans, we are getting treated with all of the offerings that Disney Plus is promising. However, it's safe to say that we've done pretty well so far. The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett have proved to be huge hits in differing ways for the streaming service. And it just so happens that tonight we are joined by someone who has appeared in both. If he isn't swooping in to save the day with his green lightsaber ignited, he's attempting to pull over Mando's N1 starfighter to give him a flying ticket. Either sounds pretty cool to me, though. We're delighted to say that tonight we are joined by Max Lloyd-Jones. How are you, sir?
Good, guys. Thank you for having me on. That's quite the intro.
Well,
I try.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on here, Max, all the way from the US. You're recording right at the moment?
I'm in Canada right now. I'm in Vancouver, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So we were asking, we were all under the impression, and we were saying this before the show, that you were from the UK. So technically you're from the UK, right? You're born in...
I am, yeah. I was born in London in the early 90s, and then my folks emigrated to Canada. In I think 93 or something like that, 92, 93. And so I was raised primarily here in Vancouver, and I've lived both here and in the States in Los Angeles. I did live in London for a little bit when I was 18. I worked in a pub in Covent Garden for about 3 months or so when I was back there.
Nice.
So,
yeah. Did you really?
Yeah, I
That's
did.
great. What pub?
It was called the Prince of Wales.
That sounds British.
Do you know it?
No, I know the one. That's the one near. There's a bridge that goes to the Royal Opera House, isn't there? Like a little alleyway.
Yeah, it's around. Yeah. I remember it was on Drury Lane because everyone knows Drury Lane. It was right there next to the Freemason Hall, and we hosted all these strange Freemason events. I saw some very weird things there. It was just there, trying to make some money in between traveling. Of course, I didn't realize that. They don't really tip much in the UK when I was 18, so I got there I'm going to work in a pub in London. I'm going to make so much. Oh my God, it was just terrible. I think I lost money living there.
I'm not surprised. London is expensive as well.
Yeah,
it costs a
man.
fortune.
Yeah.
A pint costs a lot. A curry costs a lot, but it's all good stuff. It's all good. Max, obviously, to us geeks, you are Star Wars royalty. You appeared as Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian Season 2. And let's talk about that role first, I suppose.
Sure.
Because that's how we were first introduced to you in the Star Wars galaxy. Max, how on earth do you land a role playing Luke Skywalker? How on earth does something like that unravel?
Yeah, God, I wish it were a cooler story. I just banged down the door of casting and went, hire me, damn it. But it wasn't quite the case. It was just a cold call, I think, from their casting people to my representation, and I guess they were looking for someone that fit the kind of the biometrics of Mark Hamill, right, to make it look like we could be the same person. So I think that was primarily the interest, is they needed an actor. I'd done a bit of motion capture before for Planet of the Apes, or War of the Planet of the Apes a couple of years before that. So maybe that kind of factored in. I didn't really get a lot of info. They're very tight to the chest, Disney and Lucasfilm. Obviously, they don't really tell you a lot of their reasons why. So you're kind of just going, well, okay. And they said, okay, it's something to do with Mandalorian. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'd seen the first season. I loved it, obviously. And they said it's heavily costumed. They wouldn't tell me what it was. And but they said, okay, you can do this. It's kind of a one-time thing, but you can still come back and do something else in Star Wars because you're going to be so heavily costumed, they said.
Cool.
So I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I don't really see any downside to this. I figured I'd be playing a droid or something. I didn't know what I'd be doing. It was just very strange they were coming to me. I was like, I'd had no, usually you audition, if something this big in The Mandalorian, you'd assume you'd audition. There'd be a lot of, back and forth. This was just a direct offer to come do it. So I said, well, okay, yeah, this is, I feel like, did you get the right guy? Were you trying to call somebody else? They were like, all right, let's do it. And I went down there. They didn't tell me really anything, I think, even until the day before we filmed. And they said, okay, they gave me a few, some sides, just a few pages of dialogue, and told me I was playing a different Jedi. I think it came out in the gallery episode, so I can mention now. But they said I was playing Plo Koon. And I'm a Star Wars guy. I love Star Wars, but I wouldn't say I had that much in-depth knowledge like you guys do, obviously. So I had to look him up, and I was like, who is this person? This guy who's like clearly like 6
And you
foot.
saw what he looked like.
Yeah, with the squid face, and he's kind of an older man, it seemed. I was like, why am I here doing this? This is very strange. But it was like, okay, I'll go along with it. Learned the lines and showed up the next day, and things just didn't really make sense. They were trying wigs on me and stuff, and I was like, what? But I have a squid face. Why am I wearing a wig? And I couldn't put it together at all. And then the outfit I was trying on, it felt really familiar, and I think I looked down at like the one glove, and then they tried out some prop lightsabers, and I was kind of going, no.
Yeah, this feels too familiar.
I know, and I think I asked somebody in the crew, was like, am I? And like no one would say anything. There's very few people that I think even knew what was really happening, so they're very tight-lipped about it. And I think someone gave me like a wink, and I was like, okay, I think that's what I'm here for. I think I'm here for that, which is kind of blowing my mind for sure. So I was like, okay, keep it together. I think I was like Googling and YouTubing some of Mark Hamill's performance to be like, okay, what do I do that can kind of look like him? Where did he put his hands? His energy. But luckily, it's such a character that we've all grown up with so much, so we all just kind of know, I think, intrinsically what that character, what they would do and how they would walk and stuff. So I was kind of lucky that I had that kind of already in my memory bank. And then, I was thrust onto the stage, and everybody was there, and, Favreau said hi, and Filoni was there as well, and Peyton Reed, who directed it, and then, the whole cast, obviously, that's in that scene was there as well, which was quite amazing. So I was big fans of a lot of them. So it was very surreal. It was very... I didn't know if I was right about my assumption. I just kind of thought I was, so I was going along as if that was the choice. So it was very clandestine. It was a very odd experience, but quite cool. Mm-hmm.
We've obviously got a pretty decent intuition of, because of how it turned out. I was going to ask about, what was your relationship with Luke Skywalker, but you've kind of just mentioned it. What was it like then? Well, actually, when did you first find out then this is actually Luke Skywalker I'm playing? And what was it like when you realised, oh, I am actually following in Mark Hamill's esteemed footsteps?
Yeah, it was very strange. I think I literally put it together in the makeup trailer on the way before, like probably 20 minutes before going to film the thing. So it was quite strange. And I don't know. I think as an actor, like you kind of separate the fan part of you from the job. So I was immediately going like, oh, okay, how do I make this work, and how do I sell this, and how best to deliver these lines. I didn't really have time to get, and maybe that was intentional on their part. I didn't have time to kind of get in my head about it too much and thinking, oh my God, I don't know if this has really been done before, and this is quite new. And this is obviously his part, and he's so iconic in it. How am I going to possibly fill these shoes? Yeah. So I was trying to let that intimidating factor, I think, just to the side and focus on the job at hand. But yeah, it was quite shocking. We did multiple sessions. I think I came down to LA a couple times, and we, they just needed to fine tune this thing immensely.
Yeah.
It definitely took a good half a day to kind of stop feeling numb, I think.
That's crazy. That is crazy. And just seeing, I can't even imagine, I can't fathom, like, seeing all of the set and whatnot. Because a lot of you guys you had like the corridor, right? That you were filming down. And I mean, at this point, as a fan, as like the little kid inside Max, were you like trying to hold that together, like you said, separating professionalism from just absolute nerdy childhood freak out and geek out? Yeah. That must have been really difficult. But also, I want to know, because to us, they are royalty. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Peyton Reed. What was it like working with those guys? Did they sit you down and like go, this is the story of The Mandalorian season 2. It's leading to this moment. This is, arguably one of the most important, and has now, in hindsight, we know that it's become one of the most iconic scenes in pop culture in like the last few decades. What was that like? That must have been absolutely mental.
Well, I didn't know that at the time for sure. I mean, I saw some Forbes article or someone sent me that was like the most iconic moments in TV of the year, and it was like number 2 or something, which was pretty darn cool.
Easily.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I mean, Favreau, I've been a fan of his forever. I remember when I moved to LA when I was about 20 and did the audition thing there and acting thing there for about 5-6 years. And I think one of my second audition or third audition that I did was a producer session with him for a TV show he was making. And I was so nervous. I think I'd seen Swingers like 2 weeks before with my friend or something. And I was like, oh my God, it's Favreau. And I think I delivered half the audition to like the back wall, and it was just awful. And I was so embarrassed. And I think he was like, okay, thanks. Yeah, see you later. And it's like, oh my God, I screwed it all up. And then I probably called my mom. I was like, I want to move home. And so I was like, oh God, I hope he doesn't remember me from that. So I didn't bring it up. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'd grown up, you know, loving his movies, loving his comedies, his, you know, Vince Vaughn comedies, and then just being so impressed that he made that transition into, you know, the producing and directorial side of things, because that's a tough move to make, especially you know, at that time, and then becoming kind of the king of the Marvel and now Star Wars, obviously. I mean, like, no one's really done it quite like him, and he's definitely up there as probably the most influential people in Hollywood at the moment. So yeah, there's a lot, you know, you're trying to not think of all that while you're shaking hands and saying hi. But he's very disarming. He's very charming. He's very funny. He's kind of on all the time. Sometimes you meet people like this, and I think they're just kind of worn down by the expectations of being on all the time, and you know, you kind of get them at their lowest. But he's just very fun and talking with everybody and cracking jokes and everybody in stitches. So that was really nice. It was really it was, you know, kind of put me at ease. And then, yeah, Peyton Reed, obviously I liked, you know, his Ant-Man sequel and Bring It On, you know.
Yeah.
From that, I was like, oh, Bring It On. I still love it. And yeah, everyone that was there, Pedro Pascal, and like, I loved him from Game of Thrones and everything. So it was quite mind-blowing to be all in the same room with these people. But yeah, that's kind of the job, right? It's I've had those strange encounters where you go from, you know, you're sitting in your house and you read a script and you're like, oh, maybe this will happen, and then suddenly you're on set surrounded by these legends and you just have to act like you belong there. So it's odd, but I've, you know, thankfully been doing this long enough that I could keep myself together.
Well, wow. It's a moment that when we saw it, I remember seeing the X-Men, like, oh, that can't be, and they gave all the hints of who it might be, and then the hood came off and it was like, who is this? You know, who's this dude? There, it's young Luke, but you know, who's the body behind him? We found out that it was yourself. Did you?
I cried. I'm just letting you know now.
Not the only one.
I don't cry much. I don't. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Go on, mate.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But did you? Because obviously you had to nail Mark Hamill's mannerisms, like you mentioned. There is expectation with Luke Skywalker that he is the Luke that everybody remembers and all that stuff. So did you have any interactions with Mark Hamill, particularly whether face-to-face or by Zoom or something, about how to nail this down?
Oh, no, there was no time for prep. And I mean, in hindsight, it was quite crazy that they trusted me to just hopefully figure it out. Literally, I had, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before I went and figured out that's who I was playing. And I wasn't even supposed to know. So it's just, they wanted it so under wraps, and I think Mark Hamill talked about this in the behind the scenes documentary about how it's just a miracle this didn't get out, because there's enough people just like who are there and seeing it happen and then doing the editing process and whatnot that could have let it slip. And so I think they didn't know me yet; they didn't fully want to trust me with this information, which I understand. So it was certainly left to to my interpretation of it, and I guess I pulled it off well enough. And yeah, Mark came one day, and we did the scene together, which was quite strange.
Oh man,
watching him do it, and then he's like, "Well, I'd do this." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that too." I was like, "You'd know best. This is you." And he was very cool and very charming, and he took me aside for a bit, and we had a good talk, and
nice,
encouraging, and said I was doing a good job, and I was, thank you. I hope I'm not, messing up your legacy here. So. I think he was excited to be a part of this and to get to, play this character, which I'm sure he assumed was kind of retired at that point. So it was fun for all of us. It was just one of those pinch me moments, right?
Because you guys took turns, right? Doing the scene, and you'd do it over and over again, right?
Exactly. We did it. On that day, I remember that he'd do his way, and then I'd come out and try and mimic his mannerisms a bit and even his voice. Because they used a new computer program, I guess, to basically copy his voice and synthesize mine, plus an AI device to basically create this voice that would have been him at that time, but not even, because it was supposed to be a bit later, right, than his last film. So it was very nifty what they did. I recorded an entire, I think, audiobook that he'd read, and just to get the
That's
vocal
awesome.
tones and to try and mash our voices together. Amazing new technology.
That's crazy. Again, so we talked about the men crying, including myself, men, women, children everywhere. Just couldn't believe that scene. It really, really was special. And I don't want to like underplay that because it really was for a lot of us, especially after that year. And I'm sure you understand that as well. Like 2020, and we were just at the end of that horrid year, and we had this season long of escapism. And to have that scene, it really was magical. And I think, I'd be lying if, I think that played a part in it too, right? That kind of escapism, that just kind of powerful, oh, yes, light,
it was
rescue.
cathartic, I think, after that year, right? It was, it was a powerful moment, not just for fans. I think a lot of people who were coming new to Star Wars were kind of blown away by the element of surprise in it, and the veiling of it. It was so well done, I think, with the giving little hints at a time until you fully know, and then the score comes in, and it was just so beautifully executed, I thought.
We're so lucky that it didn't leak, like you mentioned, the fact that it didn't leak. And this is, look, I don't mind, I try to go spoiler free. I don't mind if I hear a few things here and there, but imagine how like, that moment would have been affected if we'd known. I've heard Luke's in, or there's a set picture of Luke Skywalker in it. When did you watch it on the day it came out? Did you sit there when it came out? What was your feeling when you finally saw it, or had you seen a finished version of it before?
Oh no, I'd seen nothing. They certainly wouldn't trust me with that. Yeah, I was at my friend's place, who I'm at right now, actually, and I hadn't told anybody what I was. I thought that's what I was playing. I mean, I wasn't even 100% sure. I was like, I think that's who I am. And it kind of happened. I think my friends weren't even big fans. They were like, "Oh, who are you? Who's that guy?" I was like, "Come on, you know who it is."
Come on, guy, you need to get new friends.
I know. It's like the moment fell short for us. I think that night or whenever it came out, the next day, I would get a lot of people writing to me and like, "That was you! Oh my god!" That was an amazing moment. It was quite a day, and and a great end to obviously a tough year for everybody.
Yep.
Man, that's unbelievable. We've recently gone through, like, as my family and I'm talking about, we've recently gone through a few bits and bobs, and we had some family over during the winter, and my sister-in-law, so my wife's sister, she'd never seen Star Wars. She loves stuff like Lord of the Rings. She loves fantasy. And I said, look, Chantal, you need to sit down and you need to watch The Mandalorian. You need to watch just Star Wars in general. But we basically settled on Mandalorian because she's very busy, and I think like the episode format worked better for her, right? And I was like, look, this is a way to get in. And we watched all of the finale together. And even she knew who Luke Skywalker was, but she was like, what? Like, that scene did carry this mythology with it, and that's what it's meant to be. None of these people in that room had seen a Jedi before. They were like, who on earth is this? This is brand new to us, particularly like Din. This is all make-believe to them. Like, what's a Jedi? These people that can move things with their mind. And the series emphasizes that. Again, more reason for the emotion. But, I'm talking about my family and how we reacted to that. My brother, James, he adored it as well. I remember him phoning me up and it felt like we were playing with our action figures again, like in the 90s and stuff. How did your family react to it, Max? Like, did they know that you were Luke? How much?
No, I don't think I even really told them. Not that I think they, by now, having done this a while, they're like, what are you doing again? Okay, a new thing. All right. So I was like, you'll see when it comes out. And, they were, they were pretty impressed. I think they're pretty good British parents. So I was like, good job. Very well done. You're not
of course,
exuberant people. But
a nod and a wink.
Yeah. And I know that my mom, I don't think she even remembered seeing the movies. I'm sure she had. My dad, as a little boy, was like, oh yeah, I watched the old one. I'm not sure he even watched the prequels or even the newest round of films. So, they were like, oh, it's very cool. But I know they're definitely proud, and they're happy about it when I hear them now talking to their friends about it and stuff. And I think I was at a cafe with my folks not that long ago, like a summer or two ago, and it had come out when I was a kid wearing a little like Grogu shirt.
Oh.
And my dad went, hey, do you know who this is? Do you know who this is? Pointing to me. I'm like, shut up, Dad. It's so embarrassing. He's like, this guy played Luke Skywalker. This kid's like, no, he didn't. so I definitely can tell they
It's a way to bring you down to the ground, I suppose.
yeah, I don't know who he is. They're proud. They're proud and excited about it for sure. Mm.
No, that's awesome. I remember not being at work that day, and so probably one of the best days not to be at work, and seeing an X-wing jumping off the chair, thinking, "Oh, they're not going to do this. They're not going to fake us out now and have it be someone we've never heard of before." But
yeah. Did you guys do like a reaction video or anything like that?
No, we didn't do a reaction video. We did a reaction episode. So about maybe an hour afterwards. By the time we kind of picked ourselves up the floor, stopped crying, got some air. We did a reaction episode, so about an hour of us just kind of dribbling, weren't we?
Mate, and who made the call, mate? Who made the call that said, I was sure, Max, I was sure that Luke Skywalker was going to pop up in this series at some point.
And based on nothing.
I didn't think that it would be season 2 or the finale, but I was like, surely, because like Grogu needs to go back to his people, the Jedi, and I was like, there's only like one, big boy Jedi around at the moment, and that's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. You called it. Well done.
No, he did. We all thought he was mental, but he was the one who did. And he let us know as well that he was the one who called it.
I bet. Put money on it. Be a rich man now.
He would be a very rich man, and we'd all be very jealous. But I wanted to ask as well, just about the fighting style, because we've all seen Empire, we've all seen Return of the Jedi, we've seen Luke dueling Vader. We love it, but we've never seen him just go like ham on droids before. So I'm assuming it was obviously it's choreographed to a T, but were you able to kind of put your own little moves in there as well? Because it was essentially a new iteration of Luke for everyone. So were you able to put your own spin on some of those?
Yeah, that was really fun. I mean, definitely there was a stunt team doing a majority of the fighting. Man, I got to do, they let me do quite a bit of it myself, which was fun. But I'm sure they made an amalgamation of using my stuff and the stunt teams. But I remember going through at the beginning. We were kind of planning what it was going to look like, and I remember saying something because they're trying to find the right style for it, because obviously in the newer movies there's just a different swordplay style, right? I mean, the blade is kind of the backhand, which you don't see in the prequels and before that, obviously. So they were trying to find something that felt, I think, kind of retro, but a little more modern than if you watch the older films. Obviously, it was the stunt action wasn't at where it's at today.
It was a bit slower,
it was a bit slower. So remember we were trying out some kind of backhand stuff, and I was like, it just doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like he would do this. I think it'd be a little bit more what he's used to, and plus, then we got to give those little hints and give away of who this could be, and if it looks too much like a style like somebody else, they might not buy it. So I think it was very meticulous, the planning that went into making that hallway scene, especially so memorable and so kind of original, but with throwbacks at the same time. Yeah, it was exciting. It was fun. I was very beat and tired by the end of it. And I was like, oh, did we get it? Because I can't do anymore.
I bet you were. We get tired just walking to the local bakery, let alone taking down all these droids. And those droids, they were CG, right? Were they there, or were they?
Partially, they did it. I think some in CG, but no, there were actors in stunt actors in the Dark Troopers uniforms. And because being Mandalorian, it was so cool. I think one of the guys there, I can't remember his name, but he was Christian Bale's stunt double on Batman, like being one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know. It was, it's just because it's Mandalorian. They just can get whoever they want, right? So I think some of them were, they were all at the top of their game. Like, oh my god, these old people in the same scene as me. So I think it was a combination. Mm-hmm.
Well, it is crazy. Like you just said, Mandalorian kind of has that power to it, doesn't it? Even though it's kind of a new show, we've only seen 2 seasons of it, or 2.5 if you want to ask some people. Some people think Book of Boba Fett is like 2.5 of Mandalorian. Obviously, you were in Book of Boba Fett as well as Lieutenant Reed, right? Or Lieutenant Reed, whatever way you want to pronounce it. How was that? Because you've already been established in Star Wars, but this time you've not got the the effects on your face.
Yeah.
So we get to see the real Max Lloyd-Jones in Book of Boba Fett. What was that like? Did the guys call you up and say, how did that happen?
Oh, it was very cool. It was out of the blue as well, yeah. And they just said, which was quite cool. I feel like they kind of stuck to the word on it because they said, if you do this for us, then maybe you can play something, with your own face. I was like, oh, okay. Well, we'll see if that ever happens. I mean, I'm fine with just being, the quasi Luke. That's fine by me. And then this little part came up, and again, they wouldn't tell me exactly what it was. They said I think he was a pilot. That's all they told me. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Han Solo this time.
Yeah, I'm Han Solo. Yeah. That'd be fun. But I didn't even know. I think if it was Mandalorian the next season or Boba Fett, they didn't say. It's all very code named, right? So on the set, even when I was there, I was like, is this Mando or is this? I mean, not everyone knew. It was quite.
Wow.
They kept in the dark. Yeah, and I think we did like a Zoom call with Favreau and Bryce Dallas Howard, who was directing, and we went through kind of what they were looking for. And they showed me a bit of the clip of, the Naboo fighter. He's flying around, and when we pull over and whatnot. So yeah, they gave me a little bit more context this time, which was helpful. And then showing up with Paul, who I knew from playing in the season prior, and he's a Canadian actor as well. We know him from Kim's Convenience up here, and it was really cool, very fun. Took me under his wing. He's a giant fan. I mean, like they literally go to him for to double check Star Wars facts. Like if Filoni isn't around, they'll just go like, "Hey, get Paul," and he knows because he's an absolute savant. That was very fun. I think that was just a day for that one, but it was quite cool. Bryce Dallas Howard, very very funny lady and very very energetic, and she was like everyone's directors that would be on the megaphone in the back, like, come on, more energy, bigger energy, come on, Max, you got it.
Really more insistent with your protocols, come on.
Well, because they're in this X-wing that's up on like a stilts, right, and then you're up a ladder, and they can't exactly get up there and talk to every time, so she'd just be like over the megaphone, which was hilarious. But I think she was one of the favorite directors. They loved her. I mean, obviously they brought her back. Yeah. I think twice now.
She's outstanding.
She's very respected.
She's absolutely outstanding, and I think even for a lot of fans, she's one of the favourites as well.
The fans have loved everything she's done.
Yeah.
It must have been great getting to work with on that particular episode, which was in the Book of Boba Fett, was Mando centric, of course.
Right.
Just to see who directed it, I was like, this Bryce is awesome. So, and I remember seeing you turn up with. I remember obviously we see Paul. Was like, I recognise Paul from the other episodes. I was like, who's this? I recognise this other guy. Who's this beefcake in the other X-wing? And then it clicks. It's like, it looks a bit like Luke Skywalker, and we found out that it was yourself. It was Max Lloyd-Jones in there. And what I liked about your character here was, I mentioned earlier on, you're very much a stickler. Whereas Paul in his character is kind of a bit like, I don't fancy doing reports, whatever. Your guy was just like, we need this. You need to send this. Relinquish your flight controls. I'm taking over.
Exactly.
Again,
trying to prove himself.
Yeah, exactly. Was that you playing the role, or were you told to be? Come on, you need to be the one who's a bit of a pain, or was that just you as a person?
Yeah, no, they didn't give. They were quite cool with giving me freedom as to what to do. We talked a little bit about the scene beforehand, and the dynamic between the character and Paul definitely being more of the loosey goosey one. I'm a bit like, well, come on, man, we got to stick by the rules. Like, kind of new cop on the force wants to, shove his weight around a bit.
Who just wants to go and have a drink?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was fun. We tried a bunch of different ways, and I was curious to see how they would, what they chose in the end. I think we tried some like more outlandish and more comedic, and then more toned down. And they were very playful. And it's what's nice in the show that has that kind of budget because they have the time to just play around with it, and you're not trying to get to lunch right away. Like you can have some time to do the scene multiple ways and play around with it. It's such a gift. So yeah, it was awesome.
Amazing. So you mentioned that it was part of the deal that you'd come in, play Luke in Mando season 2 finale, and then you were able to get a live action role. I've got kind of two questions for that. The first one is, I hope we see Lieutenant Reed again, and really, will we? Will we see him? And also the second one is that I don't believe you played Luke in the Book of Boba Fett, did you? It's a different.
No, I had no idea that was going to happen. That was quite funny. As far as first question, we'll see. Hope so.
Hope so.
Okay,
and,
I saw that glimmer in your eye.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So the actor who played Luke. No, I think they found someone new. But you know what? I didn't take it personally. I think it's all about the technology, and I think that it changed quite a bit from when I did it to this season. I think it looked better in my mind. I think they teamed up with some new people, and they needed a new face for the technology. As far as I'm concerned, that's what they had to go with. So I don't think it was anything slight towards me, and obviously they brought me back and gave me this other part, so I was plenty happy doing that. But it was quite cool. I didn't know that was coming either. They were very tight-lipped about that. They said, I think even Favreau told me, he's like, we were going to bring Luke back, but it was just too complicated. So here's a different role, and thanks so much for doing that. And it's too bad we can't bring Luke back. Seeing him on screen, I was like, oh, you sneaky boy. They're just smart, they just want to throw you off the scent and So they would actively deny that. I remember on Mando season 2 at the end there, and people would be like, is he Luke Skywalker? And they'd be like, no, he's not Luke Skywalker. No one say that name. We're not bringing Luke back. Stop with the questions. Of course we're not. You know what I mean? Like, they really like to gaslight people out of having any clue what was happening.
Yeah, I guess having Lieutenant Reed in the fold now, it does give the chance now for you to show yourself, to be on screen, whereas obviously who amongst us, all of our listeners, wouldn't want that opportunity to be Luke Skywalker in that moment at the end of season 2, swooping in, taking down those droids, saving the day. But being able to see your face, and being able to put yourself across as your own character, that must in itself be pretty cool. We both hope you're back in some way, because they've shown in the Mando that these pilots, they drop in and out of episodes, so hopefully they will do. But What was the biggest difference then? I mean, I can imagine what some of the differences were between Mando and Boba Fett. Obviously, the secrecy of the Mandalorian, but what was the difference on set? Because you've got Bryce directing one, Peyton the other. It's a completely different vibe, I imagine, just because of what you're filming. But what was the major kind of differences between those two productions?
Well, it was a lot of the same crew. It was in the same location, same studio. There's a lot of crossover, I think, because they like to work with their same people, and obviously, they know how to keep secrets, and so they keep them around. It's all in one same studio complex in Los Angeles. And then, as far as direction styles, I think with Dallas was fun because we actually did a bit of rehearsal process, because there was obviously space for that not being so secret as it was with the Luke part, but so we got to do kind of the Zoom call beforehand and go over some ideas and play around with it. It felt more collaborative for sure. Versus for Mando, obviously they had a very specific vision of what they needed, and I was very new to it, so I don't think they were completely ready to spill the beans exactly what was happening. They just kind of wanted me to get it right. So that felt like kind of my audition, honestly, working on Mando before Boba. There was a little bit more, welcome back to the team. But both were very exciting, and it was very professional. And the whole micro LED screens that they were using as the kind of new green screen essentially was on both of them, which was awesome, because I think it was kind of brand new technology when they rolled it out for Mando, which was quite amazing. I mean, my scene in Mandalorian, the end, I mean, it was just stars because it was just the the universe backdrop. But I saw them filming some other stuff where they had Tatooine or Navarro, these amazing backdrops with the incredibly high precision screens in the back. It was just amazing. I'd never seen something that clear that looked completely like real life. So it felt like being a part of these little TV history moments throughout it.
That's mad. That is crazy. Because again, like you said, that is technology that's been created for this TV show. And once again, it goes to show, man, like not many people can say they were part of something that really has changed. And once again, coming out of Lucasfilm, coming out of Star Wars, has innovated cinema. Right? There's not many things that can do that, and not many people that can say that they've been part of that. And definitely, you're part of that. And especially with the technology, the facial technology. Once again, you're part of that, and that's fantastic.
It was very new, right? It was like entirely. They'd done, I think, a little bit in Rogue One, right? But
yes,
I think still kind of cutting edge. I mean, there's stuff, tweaking.
Every year it seems to get better and better.
Yeah, it gets better and better, doesn't it? Yeah.
And even with yourself, you said you noticed the difference between Luke in Mando and Luke in Boba Fett. So obviously, and I think, I mean, I believe Lucasfilm even hired a YouTuber. Have you seen that
too? Yeah.
Did you see any of those edits of people going in and doing like an edit over the edit? Because Lucasfilm, you've not seen it. Oh man,
the actual ones. I thought you meant on set. If I saw them actually doing it, no. But I think I saw someone sent me of a guy on YouTube that was doing his own version of it, and it looked as good or better at times. So I'm sure I think they collaborated with him, and that's what I did here, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Open source internet. You can find someone that can do it just as good and take them on. Not that it wasn't great. I think in the second season it looked awesome, but it's always improving technology.
Absolutely.
And, just looking at like I think they did in the Marvel films like 10 years ago, right? And
yes.
It's certainly improved immensely from there. So who knows where it'll be in 10 years? I mean, it'd be quite scary to think that we could just create new people.
Well, Jon Favreau even talks about that in the documentary that you're in as well, doesn't he? He says about like how, he thinks they'll probably use like more blockchain technology to kind of reinforce what's legitimate, what's illegitimate. And that's probably going to be the only way we can tell, because it is getting kind of ridiculous. I mean, even there's not, like a year and a month between Mando season 2 and Book of Boba Fett, and you see the huge change.
Yeah, it's exponential growth, isn't it? It's only going to get better. I know. It scares me because they're just going to be able to get anybody and put a face on them. Or even the ethics of bringing somebody back from the dead, right? And
this is it.
With Peter Cushing, they did that, right? I mean, he's obviously passed away, and they brought him back for. And it's odd, right? It's like, well, who gets to decide if that's okay or not?
Yeah, we've said it on this page before, haven't we? It's great. Like with Mark Hamill, obviously, thankfully Mark is still with us and will be for an awful long time. With the Book of Boba and especially Mando, they could call Mark and they could say, come to the studio or come to set, and he's there. He can give his blessing. So again, when you're starting to have actors who aren't with us anymore, then it can get a little bit more dicey. But thankfully Mark is still with us, and there's that little lad who played Luke Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith, Adrian something, sorry. The new guy playing him the new little kid playing him in Obi-Wan, Mark Hamill, Max Lloyd-Jones, you are also Luke Skywalker now, so we can also...
there's a canon of actors that have done it now, hey? I mean, it's like, who hasn't played Luke? It eventually will be the question.
Me, I've not played Luke, and I will happily play Luke. So if anyone at Lucasfilm's listening, my name is Luke. My name is Luke Bly, so Luke Bly Walker. It's kind of close, Max, do you have? I know we're wrapping up here now, and we're so grateful for your time. I know you're a really busy guy, but please tell us: do you have a favorite Star Wars film? And if so, what one is that?
Kind of thought this question might come up. I was thinking about it.
Of course.
I gotta have a good answer for this. I think I'm looking back to which the one I've probably watched the most. Like as a kid, I had the VHS set. I think
nice.
the remastered one, right, for the older films.
Got it over there.
Yeah.
The VHS, yeah. And I'm pretty sure I probably watched Empire the most. I loved the opening in Hoth. Such a complete change from the first film, and this whole new environment, and obviously the story is quite amazing. And I like how George Lucas infused a lot of his mythological learnings into the script, right? I think he was teaming up with that writer. What's that famous book? A Hero with 1,000 Faces.
Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell. Yeah, and he was infusing a lot of that into his writing, and you could definitely see it, which was beautiful. And then. The whole going through the cave and I think what I love just like the cliffhanger of it not being so much of a happy ending. And I think I saw recently that I think Mark tweeted that of how they had to go back and add a scene of him just looking over at the galaxy because it was so dark. Otherwise, they needed to add some hope, which was quite cool. It was a bold move to do that, and I'm sure a lot of franchises have copied that since. of having that kind of, they call it, I think, like the Empire, right? Like, oh, like that's your Empire film, basically, right? So I think that just stands the test of time. I mean, they're all great in their own way and exciting. And I was a kid when the prequels came out, and I remember being stoked about it as a young guy and wishing I could audition for it. So, and I think I did audition. Yeah, I did. I auditioned for the newest films when they first were casting, I guess, Force Awakens back when, with like every other actor in town went and auditioned for it. And that was pretty exciting at the time. So I mean, I've loved all of them in their own way. They have such different styles, from George Lucas to J.J. Abrams to all the different people who've collaborated on it. So it's such an amazing institution, isn't it? And I'm so stoked for all the new things they're going to be making and all the new projects that are coming out. And it seems like he's making a new kind of Marvel-esque universe, right? And all these different shows, intersecting. So hopefully there's a place for me in that as it moves forward. But yeah, long story short, I'd say Empire.
Empire. Well, as a young lad wearing out those VHS tapes, moving up to the little lad watching the prequels and wishing I could be in them, as you said. Now you are in Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, Lieutenant Reed, Max Lloyd-Jones, we are so glad that you're part of the Star Wars family, and we're so grateful that you came on tonight to talk to us and share those awesome stories of what it was like working on these huge productions, dude. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to meet some true fans, and I'll look out for your show. And I'm excited for all the new stuff. Right, Kenobi coming out soon. That's great.
Oh man,
yeah, we're absolutely buzzing for Kenobi, and we're buzzing for all the future Star Wars content. It's what gives us stuff to talk about, Max. We're geeks. We love it, mate. We soak it all up. And when you're next in London, Max, in your place of birth, let us know. We'll buy you a pint, mate, and maybe we can go up. Maybe we can go out and to Chelmsford or something.
Yeah, let's go up to Chelmsford. Yeah. Let's go party in Essex.
Yeah, my man. Thank you so much, Max. May the force be with you.
Of course. Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.